Okay, let's go look at the next one. This one is actually one I really want to talk about. Let's see here. Belgians visit South Africa to find out about white poverty and farm attacks. Let's first talk a bit about how the Afrikaans people came to South Africa. Before we think the Belgians are so amazing and so good for us and they care so much about us. First of all, the Belgians is the heart of the European Union, which is a socialist agenda. So just write that straight off. You don't want to be involved in any of that crap. Okay, so let's have a look here. Okay. A group of businessmen from Belgium visited South Africa in order to learn more about white poverty and farm murders that eat at the country like cancer. And that is true, actually. It is like a cancer because if you're people that's more productive and used to more capitalist ways of doing stuff gets marginalized, then you get in trouble more and more. The more of them leave, the worse. It's a big hole in the society. Okay. COOP, which is not a political organization, decided on their own accord to launch awareness in Europe, the people of Europe, what's actually happening to minorities in South Africa. Funny enough, at some point the Belgians will be a minority in Belgium. You know, they'll all be Allahu Akbar. Ironically, that's not going to be too far into the future, so they should start caring more about their own and thinking they're going to help us so much, because they'll have a lot of pain. Black economic empowerment, other racist legislation plunges white South Africans into poverty. That's true. All the working class white South Africans are having a rough time. And the farmers are always having a rough time. That's not for the last 24 years, that's probably for the last 28 years maybe. Since Nelson Mandela came out, the farmers had a rough time. Okay, so it's like talking to some political leaders for Afrikaans people in South Africa, and then councillors took them to places to show them white poverty in South Africa. There is a fair bit of it. Percentage wise, it's getting closer and closer to the percentages of black people in poverty. So all your white people with good education and good business backgrounds, they're all dandy, and the rest, they're having a rough time. I have a friend. He works in the retail space, and he's got basically one white manager working with him, and I think he might have one or two Indian people working with him, and the rest are all black. All the normal salespeople and the people working in the stores black. They're not allowed to employ any other people. You know, so that's a bit the way it's going. So any white person and to some extent Indian and colored that needs a job like that, they have it rough because preference always go to black people. You know, so all the simple people of these minority groups, they suffer. You know, and then all the smart fancy people, they're all having it dandy, you know, because their skills is in big high demand, and there's a big shortage, and those that don't like it in South Africa just leave. I mean, that's the way we go. It's a way to go. I mean, if South Africa don't want them, they'll go somewhere else. That is a fact. Okay, there you go. And here some people that were victims of farm attacks say of what the violent people and the murderers were saying to them: we are going to kill you, you stole our land, you will be taught to listen. That's the way it goes. Yep, there's a lot of that thinking going on. It doesn't help that the socialist organizations globally go and pimp this crap as well. They're just throwing fat on the fire. The visitors were extremely shocked by what they saw. Really? We'll go talk about your shock and what you did to all these people that left Belgium, the Netherlands and France in the 16 and 1700s. Okay, so seems they're going to have a second delegation coming over, making more awareness. It's anti the global agenda, you know. What are you going to do? Before you know it, some dude like this Wits University professor demonize you guys as well, saying you're all the worst of the worst. You can just ignore him. He'll still say it. It will come down on him somehow. I hope actually these people might give some funding to the poor people, especially the children and the old people, because they have nothing. They have no way to look after themselves. It's rough. They could if they're allowed to get jobs and compete, but they can't. They're not allowed. Okay, so that's what the Belgian people came to do, yo. Now let's talk a bit about how the Dutch, the Belgian, and the French huguenots all came to South Africa. Now the smart ones all went to America, and there they basically went to find their wealth and their business. The religious bunch, they all ran to places like South Africa. All the criminals went to Australia. But that was even later. But the Huguenots, when they came to South Africa, they were utterly useless. There was nothing here, and they didn't know how to farm. They had a rough time. But little thing that people forget is all the people that lived were Protestants, and the Belgians, the Dutch, and the French did not want these people in their countries. They threw them out. They were all happy to do the Catholic Pope's bidding. And he hates the heretics, and the heretics is everybody that's not a Catholic. And he was getting sick and tired of them, and he's got always his cardinals playing the political background with the kings. And in one day, actually, I think it was in the 1500s, let's see here, there was a mass murder of the Protestants in France. And I think actually there was like mass murders happening in the Netherlands and the Belgium as well, and that's why all of them left. Because the same Belgians with the bleeding hearts is open-minded atheists now. Back then they wanted to kill all of them. You know? Let's see here. France. Protestant. Kings. 16th century. Let's see here. The Bartholomew's Day Massacre. There you have it. The Huguenots. The French Wars of Religion. You can go read all about it. You know? All these open-minded Europeans acting like they're all saints. They're not. Don't even think it for a minute. Okay. Okay, it's just the history of it. Hundreds of thousands of people were murdered. They're actually saying modern estimates number the deaths across France between 10 and 70,000. But back in the day, they said it was hundreds of thousands, you know. Who knows if the modern people really know what they're talking about, you know. Who knows? But there was lots of people murdered, you know, and basically everybody got the signal, you know, get the hell out, or else, no left. And that's how they all came to South Africa. And then, when the Brits took over, then basically they were giving an option to the Dutch and the Belgiums and the French and saying, you know what, you can have all of these Afrikaans, all these bastard Dutch and bastard Belgians and bastard French people back in your country. And what did all of these people say? No, we don't want them. So now they don't have a haven. There's no haven for the Afrikaans white people to go to. Not really. They don't want anything to do with the white Afrikaans speaking South Africans. And the same actually goes for the Brits. The Brits do not care one bit for the English and British people. The only thing they care about is those that are rich. They do not care one bit about the others. There's lots and lots of writing about it. I'm not going to go into all of it. You can read it if you want to. Here you go. Look here. King Louis the, what's this, 14th? Looks like the 14th, or is this the 15th? I don't know. I think this is the 14th or the 16th, whatever. He said that the French Huguenot population went from almost 1 million to less than 2,000. That is what they did. Look at that, French Calvinism was almost totally wiped out. I think the Calvinist was actually on the border with Switzerland and France way back in the day. He totally got rid of them. You know, but in 1778, by that time, all the Protestants was already out of the Netherlands and France and Belgium. You know, and only the Catholics were left, and now the Catholics are a bunch of atheists. None of them actually fear God or care about God. Some of them might still care about some of the Catholic traditions, but they're all godless and superstitious. They're all atheists, and I know a ton of them. Yeah, so those that weren't smart enough and shrewd enough to go to Britain and France and America, you know, they all came to South Africa. It all looked like a smart idea, but now it doesn't look that smart anymore. Now it actually looks like they're in big trouble. Big trouble. There is nowhere for them to go anymore. You know, so if the black masses in South Africa don't play nice with them, what are they going to do? You know, the cream of the crop has already left. The most educated people, most of them already left. They all went to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, France, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, England, Switzerland. They all left. You know, it's just the rest that's there, and small minority that makes a lot of money. Everybody else left. Yeah. So there you have it. And now the Belgians are suddenly so concerned about the Afrikaans speaking South Africans. Really? Well, I guess the white South Africans should really try to get as much help as they can, so be thankful for what's coming your way, even if it's coming from some socialist open-minded liberal from Belgium. They chucked you under the truck way back in the day. So that's the reason I wanted to make the separate. It's just quite funny to see the Belgians now suddenly caring, 25 years ago they demonized all the white South Africans, and hated them with a passion. Now suddenly they've got bleeding hearts and want to care about them. What's going on? You're just going to throw your mantle into the wind whatever way it blows. Today you feel like X and tomorrow you feel like Y, and that's the way it is. Or is it now that Belgium is becoming such a polarized society, France is becoming such a polarized society, Netherlands is becoming such a polarized society that those that are actually nationalists are now actually caring about the Afrikaans-speaking South Africans? That could be the case. Maybe they're waking up from all of their hypocrisy, I don't know. But who knows if anything will come from this. I mean, I'm sure that the South African government will not be happy with these guys putting their finger into the South African pie at all. So that might be something nasty that's coming ahead if that's the case. And the Belgians, they're all neutral, they don't really act. Nothing's going to happen with them. They're even worse than the Dutch. And these two societies that will be totally broken in any case at some point. Just like South Africa. South Africa is just far ahead of them. And that's all. Yeah, but it's quite interesting. A couple of Belgian businessmen coming over, voicing their opinion about the plight of the poor working class white people that don't have any haven to go to. They can't stay in the golf resorts, They don't have these big 5, 6, 7 bedroom houses and mansions in some nature reserve. No, that is just a fraction of the white people. The rest of them are suffering hard. It's not going well with them. So, yeah, interesting one. Yeah.